Hi, welcome to another episode of Build with Raymond. And in this episode, I will talk about Agentic AI workflow for programmatic SEO. And I do that by sharing with you some experience I have while building an agent to build 900 over pages at Wisp that is driving traffic, clicks, and conversions for us. And this is our third iteration with this type of programmatic SEO approach. And this is the most interesting one because it was the only one using Agentic AI in its workflow and research process. So let's talk about like what I would share within this video itself. The first one, I'm going to cover a few scopes, both from the programmatic SEO approach and what are Agentic AI and how do they come together. The first, I'll be answering some questions like what's programmatic SEO? Does that work? How do we use agents for that? What does agentic program looks like, and how does it compare with non-agentic LLMs like ChatGPT, right? People ask like, can't ChatGPT do that, right? How does outputs look like? How much does it cost? How do you build it? With what technologies? And can I apply the agentic workflow for something else beyond just programmatic SEO? So let's get into programmatic SEO first, right? So programmatic SEO is an approach of generating a large amount of pages programmatically. That means you're not creating them by creating the code for each of them, or just drag drop and creating a lot of them. And we use this a lot at Wisp, and one of the places that we use in is the comparison page for comparing the various different products. I'm showing you a variation of our website, the previous versions, where I have a page over here that has different products over here, and I can click on any of them, right? For instance, Strappy, and I can click Strappy versus HighGraph, right? And actually find out, there you go. How does Strappy compare with HighGraph? And I would have all of this. So this page is actually programmatically generated. The way it is done is that for every product itself, I would have a JSON file that has true and false for each of these various fields, and certain things like general information about the product, some information about the pricing and plans, why people should choose Strappy itself. And because I have maybe 50 of this product, I can then do a 50 choose 2, and from there generates a huge permutation of comparison pages, right? And therefore rank and receive traffic from there. So that's one of the ways that people generate programmatic pages programmatically, right? There are other ways, for instance, like if you are doing landscaping for in US at scale, and you want to rank for, let's say, landscaping in California or landscaping in San Francisco, right? Then you would be able to swap out certain phases and create just a page for itself and rank for the keyword, let's say landscaping SF, right? So those are the way that people generate pages programmatically. There are more ways to do that. Feel free to contact me and we can discuss at how programmatic SEO can work for you, right? So let's get back to here, right? So does programmatic SEO works, right? So you have made hundreds of pages programmatically. Does it work? Does it convert? So I'm going to pull out some data from Wisp from a while ago, right? So 16 months ago, right? We can see that over the last 16 months, a year plus, we have gotten maybe more than 1,000 clicks now, right? And this is based off the older variations of the comparison page. There's actually two variations of it here, right? And you can see that people are coming through these pages by searching for all these keywords. For instance, like content layer alternative, directors versus WordPress, Nuxt versus WordPress. And if we search by comparison, you can see the largest one being like things like Sitecore versus WordPress, Substack versus Medium, so on and so forth, right? And you can see I do not rank for any of this. So there's huge amount of opportunities for me to actually go after these keywords, because there's actually quite a bit of volume coming through here, right? But if I'm not authoritative enough to rank for them, then I wouldn't be able to capture like any of these clicks at all. So the question is, how can I create something that it's going to be authoritative, right, for users and search engine, right? Because when the user is going to find it useful, the search engines will capture the signal and say, oh, people are actually landing on this page, staying on it, reading, clicking on the various links, right? Then this must be a great article. And now the ranking of this page is going to climb. Okay, so that's the intuition behind why I would like to redesign my comparison page and if it works. So if we look at conversion data across all these pages, the conversion rates of user traffic turning to user turning to paid user is one of the highest over here because we are able to capture them near the transactional level, right? They were already decided like, oh, I'm researching into a CMS, right? I might be looking at two products already, and I was just about to choose which one I should buy. That's a great time for me to come in and say, hey, I know you're looking at these two products. This is how they fare, and by the way, have you checked us out too, right? Because we can also do that. Because we are able to come in at the level at a bottom funnel process, we are able to get some decent conversion rates from there also. And you can see that as a whole, right, you can see the impression climbing as the site actually got a little bit more authority through the years. So it actually does help because you can see the amount of clicks varying between like 5 to 10 now versus like it was like 1 to 0 to 5 in the past. And note that there is actually no change in the data since like June last year, and then we are still able to receive click because the site becomes more authoritative through a combined like organic search strategy, right? So this is the old variations. I will update again when like we see the results of the new page comes in. Okay, so there you go, right? Programmatic SEO works. It works great for long tail keywords. It works great for conversion rate, at least for me, right? Now the question is, how can we do it better and do it at scale, right? Because I used to go down and spend maybe 15 minutes on each product, trying to understand what that product is, whether they have certain features, and even then, these are not authoritative because there's nothing to back all these things up. Who am I to say that Shopee is complex to integrate? Can I get that from users? Okay, so let's take a look at how we are going to approach this big question on how do I make this more authoritative from a programmatic approach, right? So I'm going to show you the final result first so you get an idea of like how it looks like, right? So the final result looks something like this, right? So this is already live on my site. I'm going to show you, let's say, Storyblog. This is, oh, that's annoying. I don't like any of this too. Let's say, Prismic. Okay, yeah, whatever. Okay, so let's say I'm on the page of HubSpot CMS versus Prismic. Now you can see the top is largely similar, but now instead of another CMS or another review site telling you, oh, it has this and it doesn't have that, we can go into user review directly. You can see that people are saying that, oh, Prismic is fast, flexible, right? We can see unlimited document even in their free plan. So this is really nice. It's cost effective for startup. Okay, and then we can get into real issues, things that people are complaining about. Oh, Prismic is nice, but it has limited out of box feature, and I can actually link to an actual website or review articles, right? Talking about that. You can see slow down performance under load. So I can click into that to see what. There you go. So I have multiple sources saying the same thing. Okay, so then you have something a lot more authoritative. Google will realize that people are spending more time clicking through some of the links that you have, right, and performing activities on your website. So we can break it into various sections. When you talk about, hey, is it easy to integrate, for instance, then we can say, oh, it's medium, right? And why is that so? Because that, right, we have documentations can be unclear at time, previews not showing, inability to validate content directly, right? So we can use that to form certain um, you know opinion about the product and actually label it somehow, right? So the programmatic approach gives you the ability to perform very, very deep research without spending like an hour on each individual product itself, and then finding how to like kind of like structure it into a structured data format so that your website can render it. Okay, so this is like the end result. Let's take a look at, how to even get started thinking about this. So we started off with a schema, and this is how it looks like on the back end, right? For every product that we have, we want, a collection of like data points, and I go down the list on like, oh, I want to collect things like general informations, right? I want to collect things like what are the hosting options available, right? Whether certain things like commenting is available on that CMS, and in each of these fields, let's say commenting, you would be able to see whether it's supported, not supported, or unknown, right? Or I can go into this and I would have sources to back up like, why do I think it's supported or not supported or it's unknown, right? So the effect of this is that I get very deep amount of data, a huge amount of data to back up all of these things, and I can actually show this to the users. So let's take a look at maybe how how this schema actually translates into agents. So this is the schema that you saw, right? And over here is a huge task, even for for a human to come in. And that's where we actually go down and decompose break it down into smaller tasks, right? So imagine like you're a manager at work and you are tasked to put together all these things for 50, 100 of products. The first thing you do is that, hey, this guy, can you actually just do general information? That guy, can you just do reviews? The other guy, can you just do image hosting and so on? So we decompose each of these tasks and actually make agents that are more well suited for each of these tasks, right? For instance, like for reviews, I would like to find, more reviews on, say, Reddit, right? And use like real user conversations to back it up. Then I can add just that instructions into this review agent itself. So the idea here is to create a whole variety of agents like that to actually combine the results. So now let me jump into what is an agent and how it compares to, traditional LLMs, right? So why can't I just ask like, hey, ChatGPT, what are the reviews of like Strappy, right? It would give you something very generic, and it has nothing to back it up, right? And that's the thing, because it try to regurgitate stuff from its training data. It does not have the most timely information, and it certainly does not have the most nuance. Like it will give you something that is watered down, but not really, reflective of what's real in the world. So what happened here is that you can actually give agents access to tools, right? And my agent has access to various tools like Google search, the ability to go on Google, search for key term, and get results back. And with the results, it can then perform web scraping to read the web page, right? And from there to actually compile the research in a structured data format, because I want it in this structure and not a prose format. And that's the only way to scale, right? Because if I'm just prompting ChatGPT all the time, then I have to figure out how to change the prose that ChatGPT has returned to me back into a structured data format, which is going to be annoyingly tedious anyway. I might as well do the research myself. Okay, so with the access of these tools, then the agents can actually do all of these things. And now, once that that process is done, it can then create a very deep research into the various different topics that I wanted to. For instance, like the user reviews, things like, are there any code templates or starter kits available for this CMS? And you can see it actually gives you link and name and description of all these things that you can link to. And from there, I can use the data to actually programmatically generate this page. And you can see, this is how it looks like. Okay. So that's a rough workflow of like how you can use an agentic AI workflow to power your programmatic SEO approach. So what I'm going to do next is to give you a full demonstration of how the AI agent look like when you run it, right? A lot of sources out there tells you, oh, this is the way you can build agent, but don't actually show you what goes behind the scene in an agent. I'm going to, bring you all the way into the prompt level. So what I'm going to do here is to run a demonstration. Just going back here. Okay, so I'm going to run a demonstration on a key on sanity, right, using that workflow. There you go. And you can see what goes behind the scene. I'll talk more about the tag in a little bit. So over here, you can see it tries to compile 3 different things first, review information, pricing, right? And what I am going to do is I would show you what you know as tracing, basically trying to see what goes behind the scene when you run an agent. There you go. Okay, this is running. Okay, so this is how agent runs. Over here, there's 3 agents here at play: the review, information, pricing. Let's take a look at what the review guy is doing. I'm going to click here. Okay, so first up, you can see that there's various tools over here: Google Search, Web Scraper, and Review Compiler, as I've shown you. And there are instructions, right, on your agent, and your job is to search the web to compile the reviews of product, to be using the product review tools to update your finding. Goal is to create a programmatic page showing the features of different products and provide a highly critical review of the product backed with real reviews from the web. And then I give it data on like how do you do web search, how do you do web scraping, selection of review, accuracy of notes, so on and so forth. And finally, the schema of how I want you to present the data. The instruction is very simple. It's just, hey, research on sanity. And that's where you see the main difference between an agent and an LLM, because an LLM is going to start spitting you nonsense about this. But instead, an agent over here does this, right? It says, oh, I'm looking for sanity CMS review. I am looking for sanity CMS on reddit.com, right? And let me also go into the pricing and the main page itself just to see what am I dealing with. Okay, so the next step from here is actually to run a Google search. You can see it runs the search and gets back this. Oh, look, I have thoughts on sanity. I have this one, right? It ran the web scraper, reads the sanity website. And now coming back to the agent again, right? Because it has the information from tools this time. It says that, oh, I think the next step I should do is that I should read this page and I should read this page. And I should also make a Google search about what people complain about for sanity. Right? And then it goes there and do what it says it do. Right? Runs the web scraper. Okay. I'm going to do a refresh to see. Okay. So that's the review. And then coming back to the agent again. The agent now with the information of the new website, it says that, hey, I don't think I have enough information. Let me search on web scraper again, right? And it does that. Let's come back again to the review tools. So it keeps doing this, right? Looking at the website, web scraper. Coming back to review tool again. And finally, after searching, so I've skipped through a lot of different steps of where it decided to search this page or visit that page, right? It starts to compile the research, and then you can see, hey, this is my research, and I'm reading it from G2, right? Sanity has been tremendous help offering robust and easy to use API that fits my needs perfectly. Gartner gives so much flexibility on the creative side of the project. Magnet, Reddit I've been studying my options for a hitlist, and everyone online raves about sanity, right? And problem, right? It has something about, has become more apparent. Problems with data synchronization. Let's take a look at this. Yeah. So yeah, it's able to like find really negative reviews out there. Cool, right? More expensive pricing for projects with large amount of content. There you go. G2, Reddit editing interface issues. Side panel takes up half the screen. I can't write articles properly because of the edit bar disappears, right? So you can see these are backed by real user research, which is wow. And then you have information on the general information on sanity, and then you have pricing information as well. So you have the free, growth, enterprise. Yeah, so this is great. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Every agent. So I've only showed you the review agent, right? But it works the same for all the other information and pricing and all the other agents that's running behind here, right? So it's doing full text search, blog on domain, so on and so forth, right? Sorry, this one, right? So it works the same, right? And you can see every time it logs something, it's telling me like which aspects of the research it has completed. So this is information. You can see that's the general information, the pricing plan, the review, the whether it has the related content features, whether it supports commenting, supports content modeling. So each time there is actually sources on where you can actually determine whether it's supported or not, right? So it has very detailed research data to back up everything that it said. So I'm gonna cancel this. Okay, so the end result of that looks like this. Let me show you. So this is just sanity demo and half of it, right? So it would have the whole set of reviews, pricing, commenting, so on and so forth, right? And I'm going to show you one that is completed. So something that is completed looks like this. It's very long, 600 lines of research, right? And the most important part here is that it does data validation to check whether it conforms to the schema that I have sent it to, and if not, automatically fix it as well. Okay, so that would mean that I have a high level of confidence that I can use the data programmatically on my web page now. Okay, so there you go. You have seen how it looks like from the back end on how agents get triggered. Okay, so coming down to very interesting questions. How much does it cost? How to build it? Let's take a look at the pricing. So I'm going to share some of the tools that I use to build things. For tracing, I use Langsmith, and it is great because I can actually observe how the execution flow looks like. I've just shown you. That's a more linear flow. I can click on the water flow to show you like, how much time and, at which stage certain things get ran. And the pricing is just right here. There you go. So for a typical run like this, it costs about 3 cents. So if I run it for one product, it will call this maybe 6 times. So a little around 20 cents to get me all the content for one product, and we are talking about really detailed really detailed ones, right? So cost about 20 cents. Okay, and this is a huge research project. I mean, smaller projects are not going to cost as much. Okay, so to build it, I use a few things. I have Langsmith for the tracing. I have trigger.dev, for jobs and scheduling. So trigger.job, that's the one that I use to run scheduling on, right? So that way I can actually run a queue of like, oh, if I want to do it for 50 and I want to have only concurrency of 1, I can actually make that happen with trigger. And finally, what else? Oh, LangGraph. So LangGraph is an extension on LangChain. I use the JavaScript version to build the graph of like the agents, right? Can take a look at this to see how you build it. In another video, I will actually do a little bit more deep dive into how to actually wire that up. But now I'm just touching on like the overall like technologies first. Okay. And finally, cursor to actually build things together. So you can see this is me putting together the page after I have gotten the data. So over here, I'm just telling cursor to create a detailed comparison page, and then it does so and gave me the first cut of like how this page looks like, right? So I love that it's able to give me this collapsible sections over here, and then all those things. And this section here is pretty nice. So these are all designed by Cursor, and I actually need to do a rehaul to combine it with my previous design. But I would say 60% of the work is already been done by Cursor. So that's the tools that I use to kind of like wire all those things together. All right, so I guess we are coming to the end of this video. So in another video, I'm actually going to show you how I can build the LangGraph parts. One thing that you might think of that you know, the process of writing that is going to be tedious. That's where I actually created a framework to create the agent easily, right? So every single agent, for instance, like to look for the block on the directory, it's something like that. I just give you a very short prompt with some templates I've used here and there to just create the agent. So each agent can be created like just like that, right? So this is like to create a whole set of agent for research. I only need to create this configuration file to you know, set up the entire research process to get it started. Okay, so I'll share more about this later. I have an idea of like how to make this even more, even better and more extendable, right? But for now, it's a huge file, but it's still manageable because all the instructions are kind of like a couple of lines long. Right, coming back to okay. I think we are coming to the end. So, what other ideas, you know, what other things can we apply the AI agents, this kind of AI agents do, right? What you have seen is that I've created an agent that's capable of doing like very deep research and, you know, presenting it in a structured data format. And really, this is a very generic type of agent, and you can use it for many different kind of research tasks, right? For instance, putting together a comparison page. For instance, another idea I have is to create a directory of like Next.js templates for my users, right? That can be done. Another one is for SEO report generation. So I'm working on a service right now to help people with their organic SEO growth, right? And a lot of the time, a lot of time is actually spent on the research process. What does the client do? Who is their client? How are they getting traffic? What kind of content they are already ranking for? What kind of gaps do they have between them and the competitors? What kind of keywords can I target? You know, what kind of sites does the user actually kind of like roam on? What kind of content do they usually consume? What kind of content that I can create, so on. So all of this can be automated with a SEO like report generation as well, right? And with founders who are doing like prospecting and outreach, that's also can be used to create to perform research on a target prospect. So for instance, if I'm doing B2B sales and I'd like to know whether what kind of technologies do they use, who is their marketing contact, who is their CEO, what's their email, and what kind of, like, let's say, email message can I send to them. So all of this can actually be an agentic workflow as well. So these are few areas where you might want to use a more agentic workflow rather than a classic LLM flow where you can kind of like, oh, prompt it once and get a result back. The main reason is because you typically might do a few things wrong, or while searching for, let's say, in the case of like prospecting and outreach, you might be trying 3 different websites to get the email, or before you actually submit the task. So an agentic workflow allows the AI to take over the steering wheel to kind of figure out how they want to achieve an objective, rather than like, oh, you should try this, then this, then this, then this, right? So there are certain advantages to agentic workflow, but the disadvantage on that is that observability tends to be a huge issue, where you don't kind of have an idea of like, oh, what actually gone wrong until you look into it. So there are trade-offs in more agentic workflow approaches, right? Something that is for topic for another day. But here we are. That's 30 minutes of content from me on how I used agentic AI for programmatic SEO. A quick one. So because I have got this now, I was running this and I saw that there's actually 900 pages on on Wisp right now that is just doing comparison. So and I'll actually do an update because I only published this over the weekend. So results are not in yet. Let's take a look at how this looks like in maybe 3 months time. But I am very bullish about it because I've searched for some of the keywords, and it's already showing that I'm already ranking for some of the more long tail one. The question is, can I actually use it to beat out some of this high impressions queries like Sitecore, Sanity, Strappy? These guys, they're just not doing it right. They are spamming their own keyword, which is really stupid. But there you go. Huge opportunities. Let's see how it scores for this in 3 months time. I guess I'll see you in the next Build with Raymond video. All right, see you.